to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric and I will be your host for this evening as we will be reviewing Happy Death Day 2U, the sequel, John, that in no ordinary universe should possibly exist, and yet it does.
Yeah, I mean, the movie did great.
Well,
It's not surprising they made a sequel.
But the first movie was improbable, I feel like, to begin with, right? Just like when you look at the climate of movies. Only Blum could have brought us something like this, John, is what I'm trying to say.
Dude, you're into the multiverse too?
Joining me tonight, first up, from New York City, the business manager at BloodyGodHorror.com. He finally got a haircut, so he's actually looking like one tonight. Please welcome John Schnars to the show.
I asked them to give me the Eric Trump.
It's unfortunate. Next up,
I just showed him a picture. Actually.
Next up on the show, coming to us from Chicago, Illinois. He loves to drink beer. He's the beer guy. Please welcome Joe.
Yeah, I'm back on the beer train after a 3-week absence.
Fun fact, before Joe was a full-time member of the show, he would call our voicemail line and sing entire R&B songs to us.
Mostly Tupac.
Also, has seen Mark naked once. A nice BGH trivia, at least once, right?
Check the Google report.
Wait, like fully naked or?
Full on, yeah. It's a long story, and I think I've told it like 9 times, but I was over at their house because I was friends with their older brother, Chris, and Mark. It was like bath time or something, and Mark didn't know what the word naked meant. But he was like running around the house like fully nude, and Chris was telling him like, Mark, go into the bathroom, you're naked. And he like had a full-on meltdown because he thought naked was a bad word.
Well, how adorable. Last tonight, joining us from Indiana, please welcome Casey. I don't know if you've seen Mark naked. I cannot attest.
I have not.
Okay.
I think I've slept with Mark. I haven't seen him naked.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, we've all slept together at Horror Hound Weekend, so.
It's like one of those Yiddish things where there's like a sheet in between. Is that what?
Yes.
Oh, fellas, we're here tonight back in the theater, second time, I believe, this year, 2019, to review the Blumhouse's Happy Death Day 2U. Lots of Blumhouse news this week, John. It was people just interview Jason Blum and they go, hey, you want to remake this? Hey, you want to remake this? Hey, what about this one? And then they just write like clickbait articles about how he's going to remake all this stuff. When meanwhile, as a dude who likes money, if you ask him if he wants to remake something, he's going to be like, yeah, bro, sure.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely feeling himself a little bit after the Halloween situation.
Who wouldn't?
Not a remake, I understand, but you know,
Reboot. What's a Blumpkin? I always think of Blumpkin when we talk about him.
That's the rare miss from Blumhouse when they, like when they have a flop.
Yeah.
It's a Blumpkin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you Google Blumpkin and you can
look
kind of
that
figure
up.
that
In
out.
a
on
sentence.
I know it's something foul, but I can't
Yeah,
remember what
I'm
they
pretty sure I know what it is, but I don't
Oh,
want to be.
I thought you were
know.
being facetious, Joe. You shouldn't.
No.
We should move on. Lots of things going on at Bloody Good Horror right now. John Schnars, people may not know this, but we are on Spotify.
Yes, we are on Spotify.
Every kind of weird, obscure music you could ever want to listen to, and Bloody Good Horror.
Well, Spotify, people, if you follow the podcasting news, Spotify is big in podcasting, and
It's blowing up.
we just want to be a part of that fun. You know, we want to be where the action is. So yeah, 2019 is the year of Bloody Good Horror on Spotify.
2019 is also the year that I realized how many goddamn horror podcasts there are out there in the world, because like it's not a thing I pay attention to. And we were on Spotify. I'm like, oh, I wonder if you just search like horror movie podcasts if you find us. And I'm just sitting there on my phone. And I'm like, I'm scrolling. I mean, we had just put it on there.
But the more people listen on Spotify, the more maybe we'll be at the top. Who knows how Spotify works? Spotify doesn't know how Spotify works, I suspect.
It's an urban legend.
Yeah. Blumpkin or Spotify?
Much like the Blumpkin, Spotify is an old urban legend.
Oh, Jesus.
Shut
them down.
Other things going on, we'd like to put out a call to people to leave us iTunes reviews. Joe, why do we need iTunes reviews, Joe?
Because we like to feel pretty sometimes. And also, it's the best way to, outside of Spotify to help spread the word of the podcast. Because again, you go on there, you give us a good review on iTunes, it starts showing up in people's searches, and we're on the front page. And next thing you know, we're rich, and we can quit our jobs, and we can put out more shows, and then you guys have more stuff to listen to. And it's cyclical. It goes in a circle. All right.
That makes sense.
There you
That's
go.
business, guys.
More iTunes reviews, and we will or won't build that wall, depending on which side of the debate you're on.
Science. That's just science. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we gotta leave that one. Let's leave that to the
John
side.
Schnars, really quick. I gotta bow out here for 2 seconds. Do you want to talk about this cinematic moment that we're happening here with crazy old people?
Yeah, well,
Crazy,
I guess
lonely old people, John. What's happening right now?
they are mostly old and lonely. So apparently, I wasn't on the show last week, and you all talked about which trailer did you all talk about, Casey?
I don't mean to cut you up, but while Eric's not here, should we talk about how he was like ranting about how women shouldn't be allowed to vote before the show? Like, that was weird, right?
In any event, trailers. Joe, my God, going for the throat.
It was weird, right?
So pre Happy Death Day, I got this trio of trailers. Kind of blew my mind a little bit. So the first one we'd seen online, Ma. I think that's what y'all talked about last week.
Yes.
We talked about it last week, yeah.
So Ma. I also got The Intruder, which I had not seen before. This is a black couple buys an old sort of like country house from Dennis Quaid. He's like he owns the house, but is maybe like also just like a gardener or something. It's unclear from the trailer. And then he goes crazy and stabby and things like that. And then we also got this movie called Greta, which I had not seen anything about. So this kind of like came out of nowhere for me.
Indeed.
Isabel Huppert. I don't know how you say her name. She's a delight, though. I can attest to that. She just plays this sort of like older woman living in New York. I got very excited because the trailer opens with what's her who's the actress? I'm not even the younger actress.
Chloe Grace Moretz.
She's riding the subway and finds a handbag and then returns it to this older woman. That begins a relationship that, by the looks of this trailer, goes like completely batshit crazy. So yeah, it's just a weird point where we've got 3 trailers. Again, for me, they were back to back, all just young people like sort of being stalked and or harassed by, to Eric's point, lonely older people. I guess I don't know.
I like any movie that has like the moral is don't do good things. Like, was it Friend Request or Unfriended we saw like a couple of years ago where like the girl befriended the like lonely girl sitting at the table and that turned out to be a bad idea.
Yep.
And in this one, teaching you like if you find a bag, don't return it. Just go through it, take what you want, and
yeah. Or like I don't know. I guess Ma is like don't go to a person's basement to party because they want to let you underage drink there.
That seems obvious. But...
Yeah. That doesn't
a
seem like it takes a lot of logic.
No.
Yeah, The Intruder is a lot more sort of like, I guess like straight down the middle. Just when you move into someone's house, they may want to come back and murder you or something. It's unclear.
I can see my father totally doing this, like just like a retired man with nothing else to do. Like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna go back and mow the lawn in my old house.
We're talking about.
I assumed it was a biography about his brother.
We're talking about Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
You know what I like about that movie, John? I apologize. I had to walk away, so I don't know if I missed this, but like it's really rare that you just see a movie like that where the lead couple is just like a black couple, and it's not. Like that dynamic is really interesting to me. I feel like that's something 5 years ago you never would have seen.
Yeah, well, and so it's funny.
Work, I guess I just see those sort of things.
Jesus Christ!
Get the fuck out of here, Joe.
We also you have there's like an interesting racial thing going on in Ma, and then you kind of have like potential for that in this Intruder movie.
I just want to say, as ambassadors to old people here at Bloody Good Horror, we're not all like this. Okay, we're not all weird, creepy obsessives who are going to like torture your children and kill you. And
wait, are you identifying with the Dennis Quaid Octavia Spencers?
No, John. I identify with a young, sexy couple buying their first home. Like, what do you think?
How old do you think Dennis Quaid is? Because I'm guessing he's like 63.
60s, yeah,
Yeah.
easily 60s,
Yeah.
yeah.
He looks like he's like 40 in this movie.
Still a
which
still a smoldering son of a bitch. I'll say that much.
Yeah, kudos to him.
He played at our town fair last year. Him and his band.
Did he
Wait,
really?
Are you being serious?
Yeah, 100%. Dennis Quaid and I forget what it is, but legit, he has a band. He goes around, and yeah, he was at the Frontier.
Are you
Taster.
saying this might be like a meal ticket type movie?
listen.
Then, or
Watch this. I don't know anything about his band, but I would bet everything I own that he plays the harmonica.
Definitely guitar, but I wouldn't be surprised if
It's definitely some kind of horseshit fake blues band, like
he's been workshopping the harmonica,
Yeah.
Eric. All right. So,
oh god. Hey Joe.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Speaking of things that are better with alcohol, like the harmonica, this show, better with alcohol.
Yep.
What are we drinking tonight? Sorry.
Nope. Oh man, be honest, I was not prepared for this transition, but I think we're good to go here. Happy Death Day, a sequel to, or Happy Death Day to You, a sequel to the fine flick Happy Death Day, which is just a down and out gal enjoying a one night stand who finds that she's pretty much on a Groundhog's Day on her birthday being murdered over and over again. And in honor of her special day, I picked a beer from the fine folks at, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this right, Unita Brewing Company out in Salt Lake City, Utah.
I think that's
Unita?
right,
Yeah. And this is a beer they put out for their anniversary. And this is the one they put out for their 23rd anniversary. This is their birthday suit sour raspberry ale.
Oh.
It's delicious. So they put out this like birthday suit series every year. This is last year's release, but you can still actually find it in stores sometimes. Usually aged, and I think they still have it on tap at random places because this beer kind of mellows out over time. It's an American wild ale or sour, as you hear a lot of people talking about. So these beers actually age really well, because as
much
you'd imagine,
like Dennis Quaid.
exactly. As you'd imagine, it has a very sort of tart, sour flavor to it. This one is coupled with raspberries, which works really well. But that sourness will kind of mellow out over time, especially like if you age these for like a year even more, sort of like a barley wine. Like it'll smooth out a bit, still obviously have that sourness, but not be as sort of like, upfront. So definitely try, if you have get a couple of these, like definitely just put one in the back of your fridge, or if you have a wine cooler, put that in there for like a year. Comes in at about 6.5% alcohol, so a little bit higher than usual. But again, with like the sourness and everything, you're not going to be pounding these, so you can, sip at your leisure and still enjoy the fine activities that you have going on that day. Unita they're a great brewery. They sold to another company like years ago, not a brewery, but like a larger company. So you can find them throughout North America, but still putting out really good beers, even though they've, quote unquote, sold out, if you will. So I recommend checking out their stuff if you can get your hands on it, which you probably can if you're here in North America. UnitaBrewing.com is their website, and there you go.
You know what that reminds me of, Joe?
What's up?
You need a medical supply from Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Do they sell split dogs? That's what I'd like to know.
Potentially, I don't know. They do. The fun fact about them, they actually are the first company in Utah that went completely solar. Their entire brewery is solar panels on top and whatever. So
that's hella woke, Joe.
Good people. Yeah,
I like it. Very nice. Joe, it's winter. It's cold outside right now. It's shitty. What does Joe like to enjoy to get him through these tough winter months?
Dear God, it is fucking miserable here in Illinois. Like, literally, I think we were on the show like 2 weeks ago. We had -50 and below wind chills. And then we'll randomly get like a foot of snow. Then it'll be like 60 out, and everything will melt, and everything's a nightmare. And then this morning we got more snow.
That's exactly what it's like in Boston too.
Mother Nature is just a fucking asshole.
I'm at the time of the year where 4 to 5 times a day I go into the kitchen at work and I just run my hands under scalding hot water.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They keep it that cold in your office?
It's insane, dude. You can the temperature control in my office is a travesty. It's batshit.
Oh,
I mean,
crazy.
that's how mine is too, but it's actually hot where I sit.
And I also,
which,
this weird thing has happened to me though, where like I used to be hot all the time, just sweating 24/7, and then like I
menopause.
lost a little bit of weight this year, and I feel like I just have no insulation left, and like literally I'm cold all the time. Like I
How
literally
much weight did you lose? Come
like,
on.
well, I had if you really want to get into it, John, I had my acid reflux this year from like August to October. I lost like 10 pounds, and I don't weigh that much. I'm
So
tiny.
that's how I make that happen.
Yeah. No, dude, listen, you want to lose some weight? Crippling stomach illness is the way to go. Because you don't have to worry about eating anything because you can't.
They sell that on Amazon. You pick that up?
Probably some kind of worm
Just
from
hang
Mexico.
out with my children for a couple of weeks. You're gonna end up with something.
What you want to do, Joe, is get the tequila with the worm in it. Eat the worm.
This has been a great day so far, guys.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm cold. But I want to know, Joe, like, what do you drink to keep yourself warm?
Oh, to be honest, I've been laying off the beer lately. And I just gin. I've been drinking a lot of gin.
Jesus Christ, that's great. That's good for you.
I mean, whatever. Anything it takes to get by, I'll be honest.
Gin's one of those fascinating, like, modern day things where the whole idea of gin used to be like, use all these botanicals to cover up the disgusting shit ass alcohol we made. But now it's like a artisanal thing.
Well, did we talk about this? Ryan Reynolds makes his own gin now, Aviation Gin. And it is no joke, not just because he's a beautiful man, but it is really good. And I'm a big fan.
Well,
and they have great commercials.
I'd expect
hilarious.
I'd expect
High
nothing
organic content.
I'd expect nothing but the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. All right, guys. Let's take a break and discuss Happy Death Day to you.
This is it, Senator. Your big breaking TV. Stop the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
John Schnars.
Yes, Eric.
What's going on in New York City these days?
It's snowing today. I don't know. We're just kind of going about our business.
How's your doorman doing?
Dude, my man Edwin back finally. He was on I don't know, he was on some kind of like short-term disability. He didn't
Jeez.
get into it with me, but he wasn't around, and then he was back. I think he was back. It was either today or no, it was yesterday for the first time I'd seen him in like a month and a half.
Did he hurt himself carrying your groceries upstairs?
No, I don't know how he hurt himself.
Did he try and tell you, and you were just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
John's
Did the milk come
John's
yet?
like, I don't know how he hurt himself. I don't give a shit. I wasn't listening.
Stop it. No, we were actually talking because he said he's playing Anthem, which I think some of y'all, game nerds are all about. So he said, look, it was rough being out of work, but he got some Anthem in, and he was okay with it.
All right.
Well, good for him.
You're
That's the update from the doorman at my building.
John,
So,
John, your boy there on that Duke basketball team is doing pretty good.
Zion. See, I'm so happy you guys know who Zion is now. It's very exciting. For me.
Notice I couldn't actually remember his name, which is why I referred to him as ya boy.
How do you forget someone's named Zion? Like,
Because
it's
I
like-
literally could not fucking care less about the Duke basketball team. It's just something to talk to you about before the word of the day, John, okay?
High five,
is-
Eric. High five.
That's a valid point.
Yo, I am missing at least the first half of Duke UNC, a famous rivalry, Eric.
Here's a question I already know the answer to, John. But when you
Mhm.
when you went to Duke and you took classes and they were teaching you words, were any of the Duke basketball players ever in these classes?
possible.
Were they ever in
that-
any classes? Because I just assumed that
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. No,
They-
some of them.
they took like
Some of them, yeah, are totally normal students. Zion is he's gonna leave after this year, and like my guess is he is attending the bare minimum number. of classes.
Zion's taking like pottery 101.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing full time college basketball. Like I don't know how they go to class. They're friggin' on the road. you know?
My senior year of college, I took an internship for 9 credits, and then I took one course called Philosophy of Horror, and that was it. My second semester, of my senior year.
Wow.
Shit was dope.
Pretty chill.
You want to know the exciting thing I did my senior year of college?
Sure.
I programmed the Spencer's online or disc horror catalog that they send out to all their franchises so they can pick what costumes they're gonna have in their stores.
Do you still have this?
Ooh.
Probably somewhere on a zip
Oh my
drive.
God, Joe.
Can we do a Patreon exclusive video where you like capture your desktop and like walk people through it?
Dear God, I'll have to find it, but yeah, it might still be at like my
No
parents'
lie,
house.
Joe. I actually feel like there's a lot of like really good inside baseball Joe content that we really should tap into. Like if you're a patron to the show, I feel like you're way in on weird Joe shit and you need more of it. Like
You
I
don't think
guarantee,
we need to do like a podcast about Duke athletics? Is that
I
what you're
guarantee,
suggesting?
John, shut up. I guarantee you that there are people out there that would listen to a Joe podcast every single day. Like if you just woke up and just spitballed whatever's in your head. Like I think I might listen to that.
I mean, Leslie. No, never mind. She wouldn't listen to it.
No, she
I don't
listens
know,
to it
maybe
every
you will.
day. and yeah, if she could find a way to unsubscribe, she would.
I hit the button. Nothing's happening. Well, John Schnars,
Yes, Eric.
you went to Duke. They taught you words. Do you sometimes seem like you retained some of it?
Mm-hmm.
And then you bring it here to us for the word of the day. I feel like we should send you to like back to some like to re-up a little bit, some like distance learning for more words.
I don't know. They kind of, you can just do that on the internet these days, Eric. But today's word is dean, as in the
Oh,
college dean.
okay.
Uh,
As in my neighbor, Dean.
dean. Yeah.
My
Just a
Just a
doorman.
nice guy.
At colleges and universities, a dean is a person with significant authority over a specific academic unit or over a specific area of concern. You can have deans at like all types of other places. I was mostly curious where the word dean came from, and it has somewhat of an interesting meaning or background rather. So the Latin decanus was originally the head of a group of 10 soldiers or monks.
Hmm.
So the word decanus gets transitioned into the church, and you have people called ecclesiastical deans. And then as universities were starting to spin out of churches, you end up with university deans.
Is a decanus like a decathlon with butt stuff?
It definitely has to do with the number 10, Eric. Thank you. Yeah, and they've been the bane of undergraduates ever since.
Huh.
Here we are.
Uh-huh.
Decanus.
Great. I love it.
Famous Decanus.
Yeah. I love college. I love the way that college movies act like your average college student has ever met their dean once or even knows what they look like.
Mm.
I interacted with the dean.
Also, I don't think I had a dean. I think I just had a president.
There
Hey,
was
Joe,
definitely.
Joe, isn't famous Decanus the new star basketball player for Duke?
Oh, dude, I love their cookies.
Famous Decanus.
Their cookies are so good. John Schnars,
The- Yes.
you're
Eric.
our famous decanus, you might say. Why don't you tell us who made this movie? What's it about? This is a Blum. This is from Blum.
It is a Blumhouse. It's a Blum joint, a Jason Blum.
It's a Blumpkin.
Just stop.
Directed by Christopher Landon, who also directed the original.
Michael Landon's son of Highway to Heaven fame.
Wait, really?
No, I
Oh,
don't think so.
damn it, Joe.
He actually could. Yeah, he is the son of Michael. He is Michael Landon's son.
Wait, for
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we talked about that because he's directed like a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, so he direct and wrote this one. He's not credited as a writer on the original. So the Scott Lobdell or Lobdell, I should say, is the original writer and gets like a sort of character's credit here. But yeah, I mean, Eric, you sort of teed it up right at the beginning. This is like a very strange movie to get a sequel. It opens, so I mean, I guess we're gonna have to get into some of the shit that happens in the first one, but the film opens on Ryan, who is the roommate of Carter. I'm gonna probably fuck up who everyone's names here, but I believe Carter is like the guy who Tree goes home with. The main character's name is Tree. That's
If
we
only
know.
there was some sort of like movie database on
Right.
the internet
Well,
where you
on
could
the
have
internet,
these
yeah.
names.
Pictures. I'm on the Wikipedia page. So we open on Ryan. Ryan's the roommate. He's like the Asian roommate who kind of like shows up in the original film and kind of walks in on them, and that's kind of the opening of every day. But instead, here we see him waking up in his car. He then goes to the room, and essentially, long story short, he ends up in a death loop where he's being killed and then waking up. Now, the thing is, though, that loop only lasts for about 15 minutes, and then he and Tree and Carter are all trying to sort of like figure out what's going on. And at one point, they essentially discover that this science project that Ryan has been working on with two lab partners, Lori and Samar, that it has created this time loop. I don't even remember exactly what the science experiment is supposed to like slow down.
Yeah, they were trying to prove that
atoms?
they were trying to prove that like time travel is possible or some shit like that. I don't know, or that they
Yeah,
were
like
Slow
it-
down time.
slow down
Yeah,
time.
it like shot lasers into a ball.
The key point
Lasers.
the key point being that it retcons the first movie. Like this movie tells us that this experiment is what knocked her into the time loop in the first movie.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But what I was sort of getting to is that the movie makes this sort of like pivot. I wouldn't even call it the end of Act 1. It's really kind of like mid Act 1 where we pick back up with Tree, because in Ryan trying to get out of his own loop or fuck with the device, he kicks Tree back into her original loop. However, at this point, she's actually in a different universe. And so she wakes up in the same bed, in the same dorm room. She remembers everything that's been going on, but now
Everything
is
is
different.
everything is slightly different. Yeah.
Yeah. So, this guy who she eventually falls in love with in the first film is actually dating the weird sorority, not weird, but the like crazy sorority house mom. But that sorority house mom is also like kind of a nice person, we think, for a little while. Like she's like doing theater and like yada, so there's like all kinds of like
And
weird shit going
we find out really fast that her roommate, who, spoiler alert, ended up being the killer in the first movie, she isn't the killer in this movie, and so they have a
Well,
whole arc
you don't-
together.
Well, you don't know. I can't remember. I guess you do know that pretty quickly. You also
Oh, that's straight
kinda
up it.
see-
Because that first day, once she figures out she's in the loop again, like that first day, she basically learns all this stuff that's different, and then the rest of the movie is about her playing with that
Okay.
and having,
She goes and confronts the roommate like immediately.
Immediately,
and,
she-
like,
because she's
well,
like,
she
I'm gonna
doesn't
take care of
confront her,
this.
She just asks her about the like cupcake.
No, but like
and
she
she's like,
goes,
"Oh."
but yeah, but Joe's point is she gets up, she goes straight to the house because she's just like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
fuck this.
Yeah, so we basically get kicked back into this loop with Tree. The big sort of reveal, or the big aha, it's probably maybe this is, I guess, the end of Act 1 if you want to kind of benchmark it that way, is that in this new universe, Tree's mom is actually alive. And so that was sort of a big plot point, was the fact that her mom had died, and that was like a lot of the personal stuff she was dealing with in the first film. Here now, what happens is she kind of has to like wrestle with this idea that she's in this new universe, her mom is alive, but there are still all these people getting killed by a killer. It's just not her.
Right.
And so now she's trying to sort of solve these murders and figure out, like, can she stay in this universe? Does she want to stay in this universe? And at the same time, she's working with the science trio, Ryan and his lab partners, where every day she's basically like memorizing some experiments that they're doing, resetting the day, then having to explain to them all the experiments that they've been doing, and they, just go along with it. So they're trying to solve for the science stuff while she's also trying to resolve the murdering that's going on around campus. And the dean, that rascal, is trying to shut down that science experiment every day. Yeah, it's really tough.
Wascally wabbit. Joe,
Mm.
what'd you think of this?
Right in the famous Decanus. Um, I wasn't on the original Happy Death Day show. I didn't see it till it came out on DVD, but really enjoyed it. So I was looking forward to this. This one, it's tough. It takes a really hard turn from the original one and goes into almost like a sci-fi comedy territory, which in itself I thought was fun, but I don't think it kept the sort of feel and vibe of the first one that I really enjoyed. I think John on email put it pretty much perfectly that like 60% of this movie is great and 40% of it is just kind of confusion, which I 100% agree with. I think at the end, I was left with like a ton of questions around like the logic behind this or like what was actually going on, which, again, it's kind of a goofy movie, so I'm totally fine with that. I just think it maybe tried to go too hard on the comedy at certain points and veered too far away from like the horror element that I liked of the first and lost a little something for me.
Casey.
I ended up loving this movie myself. There was the first movie I really enjoyed. For me, I think I actually enjoyed this second movie a little more, but I'm not sure. Maybe I just really enjoy the franchise and where they're going with it. The thing that left me hanging at the beginning of the first movie was we found out who her killer was and everything. We never found out how she got stuck in the loop. And I walked away from that movie thinking, man, they never did explain how she got into Groundhog Day. And they go right to that this time around, which to me I enjoyed. I like the horror comedy of it. It's definitely more sci-fi comedy than it is horror comedy, but I think you can make the same arguments looking back on the first one as well. But for the most part, I think they did a really good job with it. I enjoyed the way they played with it. They changed some things up and to make it fit, but I think it worked pretty well. The characters were still good from the first one. I think it's great that they had the exact same cast and everybody back there and utilized them in new ways. I think that was really cool. Everybody seemed to be fully on board. So yeah, I had a lot of fun.
John.
Yeah, I liked the original a good bit. I thought it was like a pretty clever and creative homage to a slasher while also doing some really kind of fun stuff with the kind of with the Groundhog Day, I don't know, structure. I actually was like not that excited for this. I thought the trailer looked a little like wonky. It was like very unclear what they were going to do with it, which is totally okay. And sort of as Joe pointed out, like so what I would say is the first 20 minutes of this movie, I was legitimately blown away. Like I loved how quickly they jumped into it. And like there was a point 10, 15, 20 minutes in where I was literally thinking to myself, like, this is one of the best sequels I've ever seen. They did the thing that I love with sequels and kind of it had me thinking back to like Halloween Part 2 or a lot of the like Friday the 13th sequels where you felt like you were just dropped into this movie and it was just like shit is just like right back happening again. And so I loved the kind of energy that it had. It was also super funny and they played around with a lot of the sort of mechanics right out of the gate in a way that I really liked. For me, it kind of, when you get that turn back to Tree and her story, it slows way down. And that's where I won't say it lost me, but I just think the movie, I wouldn't even say that like with Joe, I was that confused. I just felt like it got a little boring toward like, they spent a lot of time on Tree and her mom, which like was emotional. And like, I connected with it for the first time she like sees her mom. It was like a really moving scene and, it's handled really well. It just like, it kind of goes on. And then there's a lot of her not like there's a big chunk, maybe like 20 minutes of this movie where it's like her deciding what she's going to do more than doing stuff, and then I actually thought the end picked back up. I mean, we'll have to talk about it. It goes to some like wacky places, like legitimately wacky. And I was okay with it. And in retrospect, like whatever, the whole movie's like a little just out there, but tonally, it was just a lot less clear than the first film. Like it didn't have as clear a through line to it, and so like I don't know. It was.
I
ended up enjoying it, but it was.
I disagree. I just think it has a different tone. I think it has a different through line, and I feel like that kind of throws people because it is like it's a very different thing. Like the first was basically a slasher send up, whereas like this is, and the thing that this movie really is, and they name drop it hard. Like this is essentially an homage to like Back to the Future.
Yeah,
this is straight up like a sci-fi comedy with like
they definitely
with like tinges of the horror stuff from the original thrown in. Which like to me, I actually felt like those were the moments where it lost me a little bit because I loved the first movie. To me, I mean like the first movie is the epitome of what Blumhouse is doing right now, which is greenlighting and making these movies that nobody else would make. Nobody else fucking in the American like studio horror system would make Happy Death Day. And that alone was a huge reason why I loved it so much. It is It is fun. It's kind of like reminds me of like bubblegum slashers from the 80s. It's even though it's sort of poppy and bright, it's also violent and really it has this weird edge to it that contrasts in a really interesting way with all the humor, and like there's also this great emotional message. Like the first Happy Death Day is a fantastic movie. I really did not know what the hell they were going to do with a sequel to this. In some ways, it's almost like an impossible movie to make a sequel to, which to me makes what they did here like all the more impressive. I like this one a lot too. Like the thing is, you're never gonna get the impact from this one that you did from the first one, because that first one was so out of left field. But what they really do, there's a lot of things I really love here. It's wildly different from the first one in the sense that this one is much more playing with science fiction tropes and time travel tropes. It leans harder into the comedy, which I actually was way in on, but yet still remains true to a lot of what I think made the original great, which is it's wacky. They go for it. It's over the top. It's hilarious, and it has this great, in my opinion, like heart to it. I loved the stuff with the mom, and the stuff with the mom is a great example of what I think this thing does so well, which is they spent so much time just dissecting. Like you can tell before they wrote this movie, they just sat down and watched the original like 100 times to try to pick out what are the little areas that we can have fun with here. Like what are the things that we can recontextualize in a clever way, change your perspective on the story. And to me, this like mother storyline is like, I was all in on this, but it really like to me was even more emotional in a lot of ways for me than the first film, because it's building on top of like what they already did there. I think that I agree with John. I think it starts pretty good out of the gate, but I don't think that kid's a very good actor. The kid that they kind of have, at least like to me,
Yeah.
the female lead, I gotta look up her name, John. What's her name? The blonde girl?
Jessica Roth.
She, and we praised her a lot during that first episode. Like what they're asking her to do here has got to be like so just harrowing for, like, she basically has to be hysterical for every scene in this movie while also being sort of light and funny and acting scared. Like it's really like no shit, dude. It's like a tour de force performance she's putting on. I don't think that the other kid that they focus on in the beginning is like quite up to the acting chops of her, which I almost feel like is why they transition. But so there's a little moment in that first act where they transition to her where I kind of was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. But to me, I think the movie gets way stronger after that. And I actually would disagree with you guys in that I didn't find this boring at all. The only moments I found to drag to me were when they were putting me back in the slashery situations from the first movie, because it was something I felt like I had seen already. Like when we're with the nerd kids in the lab, and there were like, that was probably my favorite sequence in the movie, was the montage where she's waking up every morning and reteaching them what they've already tested. I loved those kids. Like I thought, especially the girl, like lab nerd, was maybe my favorite.
Was such a like 80s like rebuilding the dorm house montage,
but like
from, Revenge of the Nerds.
The two of them, the two lab partners, were like probably one of my favorite parts of this, because they're just so funny and they add like a lot of heart, and there's this great like heartwarming thing where they're all like teaming up together, even though it's like it's like the first movie in the sense that you really got to take a leap with it, right? To buy that every day she gets up and gives this shtick to them, and they're like, sure, I got nothing better to do. Let's pretend like this is a real thing.
I think you should watch The Big Bang Theory, because I think you would be like super into it.
There's only one thing, honestly, that I feel like they dropped the ball on, and that is that in the first or second act, a multiverse version of the Asian kid comes back to kill himself to stop him from starting the whole loop. That seems super important, and they never come back around to it. And that's probably the only thing that I was like, I feel like that needed to be tied up.
So that's exactly what I'm talking about when I said I still had like questions at the end, like what about this guy?
But but also it's like, I feel like at a certain point, and I'm not trying to excuse something like that, because I think that it's no, but John, like
you 100% are excusing a lot of things right now, which is totally fine. It's totally reasonable.
This is all I can tell you. This is all I can tell you, John. when I
You're about to get belligerent and tell us
I-
you don't care
I
about our
like-
criticism.
Listen,
I
no,
like this movie, and so I don't care if
No,
it makes
no,
crazy
listen.
mistakes.
at the end of the
You're
day,
full
though,
on gonna Jason us, aren't you?
at the end of the day, though, this is what's important to me. I came out of that first movie, like smiling, happy, like feeling really good about the genre and the things that are being made, and I felt the exact same way coming out of this, even if by its nature it's just not gonna be as good as the original. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, like I will 100% go to bat for like big chunks of this movie because I totally agree. They understood like the kind of like pivot points to go at. They understood the seams to mine on the original and where they could get jokes and where they could kind of like push on some stuff in an interesting way. There, so you hit on the second version of Ryan gets introduced. It's like sort of a big moment, but then so I was there. I was at the theater with two friends, lovely friends, I'll say, because at least one will listen to the show later. And one of them had seen the original, and one of them never seen the original. And we were walking out, and we were kind of going through it, and like none of us could piece together what the hell was going on. And the person who hadn't seen the original was just like hung up on this idea of like, why was there not a second tree? Like,
yeah,
if
sure, sure.
Ryan, if we see a second Ryan after literally him doing like one
Because
or two loops,
because they do mention it too.
Yeah.
Like they mention like what if there's another version of me running around, and then it doesn't happen.
but yeah, and
Yeah.
so like that's like a pretty big hole. There's one other like really
Listen,
big
John,
to me.
John, Michael J. Fox's mom tries to make out with him. Okay, like these movies aren't perfect, is all I'm saying.
No, all right, come on. We're not going to relitigate Back to the Future at this point because that's like an all-time classic for me. But I like kind of want to go to one other big problem I have with this, but it's like somewhat spoilery because it's like kind of about how the movie wraps up.
Well,
I don't know,
let's.
it's-
I think we should like dig more into the meat of it first.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like what things worked for you, John?
Can I tell you about my probably favorite scene? Like the
Yeah.
part where I giggled the most, not like outright like guffawing, not like rolling in the aisle laughter, but like giggling for a whole scene. When I think it's the first or maybe the second time Ryan kind of goes through his loop and he's telling Tree and Carter that he's getting killed. And they're like, all right, we just got to keep you safe. We got to go to like the safest place in this whole school where, we'll be very visible and very out in the public. And they like flash to them sitting at the college basketball game, and it's just everybody sitting around him with the
dressed as the baby.
Because like I honestly thought like the whole
That's a
idea
great,
that
but
college.
that's a great gag, and it's also I think that in particular gag is really indicative of sort of the level that we're working on comedy wise. The most like it's this movie is very willing to poke fun at itself and the whole concept, which I liked.
Yeah.
Well, they actually to me didn't do enough with the fact that the college mascot is named the Baby. Like
Well,
it's just ridiculous.
You know what's hilarious though,
It's
because
just
I had sort of it was one of those things I'd forgotten from the first movie, and it's a funny thing in the first movie too, because those masks are just hilarious, and they're at this game and like they're looking around each other and realizing how big of a mistake they've made, and I literally in my head was like, what kind of a fucking mascot is a baby? And
Well-
3 seconds later, the boyfriend goes, who picks a baby as a mascot? And I
And-
was just like,
and
okay,
there-
this movie we're on the same wavelength there.
Well, and there's a couple of shots during that sequence where it's sort of in like mid length, I would say, or like whatever. I know that's probably not the appropriate term, but where you can see them talking, and then just in the foreground is the actual baby mascot, and it's not the baby mask. It's like a it's like the fucking Philly Fanatic. It's like
Full-on
a person in a baby costume with a huge bottle.
Full on baby
And
suit.
he's like doing all this silly baby stuff on the sideline. I don't know.
I mean, listen,
that shit killed me.
You know, at least it's not racist, John.
See, but the way the one thing with our Ryan #2, Colleen and I both discussed that right as soon as the movie ended. It's like, what the hell were they doing with that? But the way that they poke fun at themselves and kind of like with that
Yeah.
scene with the basketball scene and stuff, if anybody is going to acknowledge the fact that they left a huge plot hole and make a whole third movie about that plot hole, it would be Blumhouse. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I could say,
No,
I'm
but I
saying
feel like
could
they-
see them go that
I feel like
direction.
they did absolutely intentionally leave the book open. Especially, did you guys see the?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really need to get into it at all, but did you see the after credit scene?
Yeah.
I
yeah.
didn't.
There's a whole scene, but it's after like 5. Like I literally was walking out of the theater when it started and went, "Oh shit," and then came back. There's a lot of like the jokes are rapid fire, which I appreciated. Like one of my favorite little gags was silly, but in one of the first I think it's the first day, like the second day, when is it Ryan when he realizes he's in a loop, and at some point there was a homeless guy that jumped out from behind a bush and yelled at him for money, and he takes a rock and he tosses it behind the bush, and the guy's like, "Hey, what the like?"
Yeah, it was this like that. I love that sequence too.
Or
Well, I
even
love
just
the-
like
John,
even
you
the,
just like homeless people getting
even
beat
the
up.
first
Like, that's
even
your
the
thing.
first even the first scene where Tree realizes she's in a loop, and like so much of that first movie they made hay out of like her walking through that first section of the loop across campus and all the like messing with people eventually, and then right from but like the funny kind of the gag now is that she's just over it, and so she's just walking through just like crazy face screaming at people
Going
like
batshit insane.
Yeah,
She's
like-
great. Like she is
Yeah.
great in
she
these
really
movies.
is. She really is. Yeah. And again, like I was just really impressed by the amount of ways they were able to riff on ideas that they had already riffed on like endlessly in the first movie.
And they also didn't rely though on the same gag like they did last time, like repeating that scene and whatnot, because they knew it was going to be boring. That's what I appreciated, is they actually changed it up. And then we got the scene
it's-
like when
it's-
they started talking about her loops, and you know, then she's like, I have to wait around to get murdered every time since we're in spoiler territory. And they like, well, you could probably do it yourself. And then we had a whole little musical montage, which was a very 80s comedy thing too, where she's running around killing herself at the end of the day, which was actually pretty hilarious.
Hilarious, but I was like, this
It's very
feels
dark.
Yeah, like crazy, like super dark. I don't know. It's funny because like there was was there some of her killing herself in the first movie, or is it more just her giving up at certain points and just being like, "Fuck
No,
it, just kill me"?
Yeah, she fell in the bell tower once in the first movie, but the serial killer was chasing her.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the montage you get is more her interacting with the killer in the first one.
It
if I
did
remember,
feel it did
but-
feel
Yeah.
very dark. It did feel very dark. I was like, I feel like this movie needs a trigger warning, John. That's how
But
you.
this is where for me, if we want to get into it, like there is just like an unevenness to some of this stuff, right? Like, they, so we talked. I don't know whether or not it's like too much mom shit. Like whatever, who cares? Like there's a lot of this like emotional stuff. The other scene that we have to discuss that I will actually like go to bat for, but I also think is like borderline indefensible in some ways is the like slapstick comedy routine that goes on between the dean and I think Lori's or not Lori,
John.
whatever the friends.
Oh,
John,
John. That was straight up like a shitty National Lampoon like
John,
spin-off.
favorite fucking scene in the movie, John.
I mean, there's okay.
No.
If it is your favorite scene in the
hilarious.
movie, that's fine. But it's so out of left field when it happens. Like, and again, like
You know what I love?
while there's
So-
lots of other funny scenes in this movie, there's nothing that's that extended and that slapsticky. It just feels very weird.
I very much enjoyed it. It's also funny because if you watch the end credit scene, right? So they basically use this is sort of implied, but they use information that she had gained about her earlier in the movie, that she had cheated on her boyfriend basically to pressure her into doing this for them. But she basically like she saves the day, right? She bails them out. And then at the end, the thing they do to her is like super effed up in that little tacked on credit scene. Like they basically
Yeah.
hand her over to DARPA.
Plus, that scene to me, if nothing else, it fit because if you read like the interviews with the director and everything, they were kind of going. He talks about how they went after were kind of going behind homage to Groundhog Day, obviously in the first one, and this one was more based homage in Back to the Future 2, as they talked about. That kind of gag though with her is very 80s comedy, and that's kind of what they were changing up to.
But
Yeah, I
that
get that. It's
after like 20 minutes of like tug your heartstrings, my mom, do I have to decide if I want to see my mom ever again? Like just it was such a hard turn.
Yeah, I
Well,
can defend
yeah.
the scene
When-
in
when did you
isolation.
guys-
It's just that it feels so weird and like tonally, not aligned to the rest of the
I will be
film.
honest with
see
you,
your
John. I'll
point.
be honest with you. Like, I just feel like this movie is very upfront, right from the gate, of being like, this is gonna be fucking weird and all over the place, and I just kind of went with it. So like, I'll be like, I really wasn't concerned
And I
with the
could s-
tone because so much of it landed for me. I guess I wasn't
Yeah.
really worried about the tone that much because I enjoyed it.
And-
Like, I thought it was a really funny movie. You know what I mean?
To that extent, from what Eric's saying too, I can understand your guys' point, like with the mom stuff being a little too heavy and everything, which they did lean on it a little heavily, but I don't think it pulled me out of the movie as much as it did you guys.
I also
With-
think, John, I think it's totally fair to say, like, plenty of people will watch that blind person scene and be like, I'm out. Like I actually like I'm
Yeah.
not gonna argue that. I'm just saying it totally. I thought it was funny and it didn't bother me. At the same time, I can see it. I understand what you're
Why
saying.
did she have to be French?
Yeah.
Because it's Joe. Listen,
Well-
Joe. Whoa. Joe, if anybody
Oh, no.
can appreciate some accent play here, I feel like it
Oh.
would be you.
Oh, absolutely. I just think it's funny that like she wasn't very good. I thought that was like one of the
Was-
actually the
Was,
funnier
wasn't
parts.
that the
because she was like she was actually gonna like be in some play?
Yeah,
that
she
it was like
was,
a
uh,
French. It was a French version of
Anne Frank, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's
no,
actually-
she said Anne Frank, but she meant Miracle Worker. Helen
This
Keller.
actually reminded me of
So-
an,
Yes, yeah, there you go.
that scene actually reminded me of an old The Office gag, but I won't bore everybody with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It's just
It,
funny. It's definitely one of the scenes where like they're really fucking going for it, and you're either gonna be in for it or not.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because if you look at this movie as it starts to change up, because like for me, the movie while they mentioned Back to the Future 2 in there in the movie itself, and they talk about it in the interviews and everything like that, what really we brought this up in the emails. This really brought to mind to me more than anything Weird Science. That kind
Dude,
of comedy,
yeah.
80s comedy, and something like that with the zany blind French woman shtick is not going to be that out of place in that movie.
I-
So for me, I was just kind of taking it in.
I did
Mhm.
absolutely feel watching it like Weird Science had an influence on this thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean I think all those like 80s movies, like sort of sci-fi. I don't disagree.
Do you want me to hit you with the other thing that I'm sure someone can explain it to me and I'll like agree that it's like a fair reading of the film, but that I think is like a little wonky in the way this ended.
Mm.
Should we? We should make sure to drop. I mean, at this point, people probably know, but we should drop a spoiler alert.
I think
Yeah,
we've already spoiled it, right?
I mean, more or less. Yeah. So I mean, the whole movie ends up hanging on this idea of she needs to choose: is she going to live in the universe where her mom is alive, or is she going to go back to the universe where Carter is in love with her? Because in this universe, he's not in love with her. It's just like it's a false choice, like on his face,
Mhm.
because
Why?
well, it's actually proven false because literally the movie ends with him kissing her in the
Yeah.
universe where
Yeah.
her mom is alive.
Oh, okay.
She
Proving
could have
that
had both.
She could have had both.
Yeah,
And it's
but
like,
but there's
why did you
also
set
this
up this choice.
that I guess I'll give you that. But the thing about the mom was that no, the thing.
Got him.
But they spent plenty of time addressing exactly what you're talking about with the mother, though. It's basically at some point, she just realizes like they're not her memories. Like this isn't. She's
Yeah.
living.
Mhm.
And again, this is an issue with where's the other tree. But the point is that it doesn't like it means something to her, but she doesn't feel like this is her life to live, basically.
So yeah, you're totally right. There's at least one scene where they kind of and maybe it is with her and her mom where she's talking about how they're not real memories or
Well, yeah, it's all those pictures of like their trip to San Francisco or something, and like the mom's talking about how, oh, I wish I had like that cinnamon bun or whatever, and she's
She's
like,
just like,
I
no.
didn't actually do that with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Like,
You
it's-
ate two of them. What do you mean you don't remember?
I'll be
Yeah.
honest, as a parent, I mean, we talk about this lately, but pretty much anything involving parents, I'm just like instant emotions, and like this one got me.
See, it's weird. Like
Well-
this didn't like I think she's great in this movie, but she's not a super likable person. So like
Yeah.
her dynamic between her and her mom, I was just kind of like, all right, she's sad and whatever, but
Wow, jump surprise.
Well, and the mom, I
guess
thought the
I'm
mom
wrong.
was like only okay. Like I didn't think the mom was like some like
Yeah.
Well, listen,
powerhouse
I mean, I
actor.
also think that you're tasking these parent actors with a really, really difficult acting job, which is like she sees her mom and acts as if she hasn't seen her in 20 years because she's been dead, because that's what's happening in her universe, and her mom's just like, oh hey, what's going on, are you okay, honey? Like and then she screams at them they got to get off campus, and they just casually go like, okay, let's get in the car and we'll just drive away and stay in a motel. Like I feel like the parents have to do this weird acting thing where they have to act semi nonplussed and oblivious about what's going on because they can't possibly understand what she's talking about. But it's not an easy thing, I guess. Like, so the mom, I don't know, the mom kind of has to be middle of the road in a weird
Yeah,
way.
all
I
right.
see
Like,
what you're saying.
trying to explain to me that this is like a difficult role that this actress had to play.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's like-
I don't know.
No,
A
but
lot
I,
of
but
people
what?
got
No, no. But
difficult
what I'm
jobs, Eric. You still got to do them.
what I'm saying is
In Joe's defense,
what I'm saying is I think she's hamstrung a little bit by the way that character's written.
Yeah,
I could see Joe's the point though, because the whole first movie was how Tree was a trash person and then redeemed herself after she repeated the cycle a number of times and realized the error of her ways. So you would think that, but then at the same time, you also have wish fulfillment happening in Second World, so it could change.
It reminded me of this is like a really weird. I know I do this a lot, and then Joe just rolls his eyes at me. But we watched like there's a whole isn't there a whole deal in the Cloverfield paradox where like the woman is in a different. She ends up in a different like multiverse and finds out that like her family's still alive. Remember the whole thing where she installed a faulty electrical thing in her house and it killed her family. And then after they go through the wormhole and they find out they're in another universe, she finds out her kid's alive, and like she wants to. It's okay. Never mind. I'm gonna move on.
No, it rings a bell. I'll be
Yeah.
honest. I had that movie on my top 10 list, and I couldn't tell you.
But
what
it was a
actually
very
happens.
similar thing. It was a very similar thing, exploring this idea basically of like a person who's dead, and then in this other multiverse they're not dead, and like what do you do?
Why are we getting so many movies in the past like year or two with the multiverse in it?
Because
I,
people don't want this dimension to exist anymore.
I just feel like this movie is way better than it has any right to be. Like I honestly, yes, the first one made money, but to look at this, the balls on somebody to look at the first movie and be like, bro, we can sequel this. We're Blum. We can do this shit.
Yeah,
This,
Yeah.
this didn't do well, did it? The second one?
It did not do great. So like they I mean it was shot for $9 million. Like that's the listed budget. So that's like pretty low. And this is like Blumhouse 101. It's just like don't make these movies for like if they made this for like $30 million, it would be underwater right now because it's up to like 26. It looks like
So it worked.
in sort of domestic and international.
So it worked for
So-
them.
Do
So
you
what?
think?
So it worked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean but like dude, the first one made 150 million.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
you know.
I walked out of this movie too with some of the inconsistencies and stuff, and like especially with the stinger and how they're trying to hint towards a third movie and stuff like that. Do you think maybe that they are thinking that it's gonna be a hard sell to sell a sequel to Happy Death Day, and they got the funding to do it, but now they're kind of prepping themselves to go direct to video after this one?
Streaming. I mean, that's not necessarily has Blumhouse done stuff like that. I feel like they're all theatrical.
Yeah, no. Well, they did like Creep and Creep 2. I mean, they've done tons of
Yeah.
like direct to Netflix. I just feel like, why if you're this cast, like these guys are like young actors, like
They
they're
want
trying
to
to like
move on at this
grow.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not just trying to like cash in on direct. I mean, whatever.
Well-
We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a third one. And frankly, like as much as I will like say this movie is a little nonsensical, I still enjoyed myself. Like I had
Yeah.
fun.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Like you know, we were drinking in the theater. I was there with friends. Like we had a good time. But like it's just I think it's a little strong to call this like a good movie. It is like a fun movie.
Agreed.
You
Yeah,
know?
that's
agree
what-
to disagree.
But to my
Yeah.
point, I think they were. It felt like they were kind of setting it up. We're not going to see Tree and Carter again if they do a third movie. So into that aspect, I felt like they were kind of setting things up to move it on to another different main cast and kind of go direct to video.
Well,
with it.
that's and that's why I was so excited when it opened with Ryan. And
Yeah.
whether or not he's as engaging as Tree, like I found him like really
It
fun.
is. Yeah. I mean, it is funny that they did that, which is like, hey, that's a 2019 move right there. You know what I mean? Let's recontextualize this. Let's like focus on this minority character that was kind of a side like comedy character in the first movie, and then 20 minutes and they're like, let's go with the white girl again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very bizarre.
There's definitely a
the-
moment where I was
but
like,
since-
okay.
But since we're in spoiler territory, I mean, the way this ended, especially when you look at the stinger that they added on here, I could see them going after Ryan number 2 for the third movie, or they're going to go after the bitchy sorority girl for the third movie, and then you only need Tree and Carter for like background roles. They don't have to pay them that much. They show
Yeah.
up for a day of
I mean,
shooting and move on.
I'll be honest with you. I could do Carter's the boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could go the rest of my life without ever seeing that actor again and be totally fine. He's
Yeah.
like,
he's not great
literally-
at what he does.
he's literally just like a saltine cracker, man. Like just like if you're sick, you would eat it because you just need to keep something down, but you're not really getting any pleasure out of it.
She can do a lot better than him.
Oh,
I'll be
yeah.
honest.
Yeah. Well, another really funny gag is when, so there's this whole thing. That was the other thing. One of the things that took me a while to orient myself in this movie is that even though the beginning is a pretty big info dump about the first movie, like
but no, it doesn't come
contextualize-
until like 20 minutes in. That's what I
Well-
like the way they handled it. I thought was really smart.
Yeah, but like, oh fuck, damn it, John, I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry. All right,
What were
you
we
were saying
talking
it was a
about?
big info dump.
Yeah. Oh, but like they expect you to remember a lot of threads in the first movie that they don't explain, and one of them that I just sort of was able to pull from one of my synapses was that there's this whole thread about this guy she had been dating, and that
The gay guy.
he turned out to be gay at the end, and like she helped him
Oh,
realize
yeah,
this or
yeah.
whatever.
Well, that
and then the first time she sees him, she just screams, "You're gay!" in his face and walks away. And
No, well, the first time she sees him is at the basketball game.
Yeah,
And she
making
turns
out with some
around,
guy.
yeah,
With
and
a
he's like there
boyfriend.
with a guy, and she gives him like a thumbs up or something.
But
It's
that,
just
like, I
that was,
thought
like another moment.
that was another great gag and just another little rapid fire thing that I thought was funny.
Yeah,
I actually enjoyed her a lot in this. As dark as it sounds, enjoyed her comedy a lot in the suicide montage.
I mean,
The
yeah.
whole thing with the skydiving as she went into slow motion as she came down in front of Carter and his second dimension girlfriend was.
Yeah,
pretty
that whole montage is really fun, and it's again like they do that in the first movie too, where they've got these really fun transitions from death to her being in the bed. I enjoy that part, even though I was a little like, oh, grim.
Yeah.
you're getting real soft, man.
I am, I really am.
What qualifies as grim for you is
Dude, it's a
slow bar these days.
I just felt weird. Again, maybe it's just the way that I'm reorienting myself to look at things in 2019, right? But like for a movie in 2019, that felt crazy to me. That whole sequence, like it's just crazy, man.
Yeah, well,
You remember that
Very
movie?
woke.
You remember that show 13 Reasons Why? How much people lost their shit that Netflix made a show about committing suicide?
yeah. I mean, that was like pretty different than this, though. I would say.
Couldn't say. I didn't see it.
Well, I mean, I didn't see it, but I like read about it, and it's sounded pretty dumb.
Pretty much a copy of this.
Yeah, I
Have you
don't
guys been
think-
watching? Quick aside, have you been watching Russian Doll?
No.
No,
watched the
I've got
first
it
one.
like queued up to watch though. It's good.
It's really good, and it's like, I mean, it's the exact same freaking idea. Like she
Mhm.
basically keeps dying and waking up in the same day, but it's a lot more metaphysical. Let's say.
We are.
What is the lead in that? What's her name?
Natasha Leone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Natasha-
God, she is a delight in interviews.
Yeah.
She was on, I think, Conan, or maybe it was the other guy there. Like, she is hilarious, and she's
Yeah.
got like this thick Brooklyn accent. I am smitten with
You
her.
into that, Joe?
Yeah.
Joe, you ever watch Orange Is the New Black?
Yeah, I don't care for it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Bold stance. All right,
Yeah.
guys.
She's great in it though.
I
Guys,
know, we watched like the first 2 seasons, really liked it, and then it got
so
bored
here's
over
what
the-
I'll say: season 3 is terrible. They totally lose it. Season 4, 5, and 6 have each been better than the last, and it is now
Ah.
to me like one of the best shows of all time. But
All right,
you are
maybe we'll
right.
pick it back up.
We literally, my wife and I dropped off of season 3 and didn't watch it for almost 2 years.
Was season 3 the one with the Australian gal?
Yes.
That they, yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's exactly.
We didn't
what were
watch it for like almost like a year and a half after season 3, 2 years, and then went back on it. Dude, the last 2 seasons have been
Huh.
incredible.
All right,
Best.
well,
I mean, Eric, you're saying hyperbolic things now. It's you know.
John,
come on.
John, that
Best
show,
of all
good.
time.
John, that show changed how television shows work. That was like the Netflix thing, John.
it goes. Orange is the new black.
I'm serious.
MASH,
I'm serious.
Seinfeld.
It was like the first. It was like really the
Big Bang
first.
Theory.
It was like the first. It was like the first prestige streaming thing, John. Are you really gonna
No,
argue
first
me
of
on
all,
this?
it was the fucking political show came out way before it did. So like,
Ugh.
don't even start.
The
Oh,
politi-
Bazinga!
You can't even
Yeah.
name the show you're talking about. That's how
Yeah,
important it is.
but like
House of
Eric, come on,
Cards.
just don't even. You're. This is
You
now
guys
we're off the
are-
reservation.
Sorry, false, false. Would you recommend Happy Death Day to you, Joe?
I would wait for video, but yeah, I'd watch it.
John,
Agree with Joe. Video or TV or something.
Casey.
I'd say get out there and see it now.
Yeah, show Blum some support, right? I know. If you
Some
really
money.
if you really like the original, I think there's a good chance you're going to be in on this. I think if you didn't like the original, I would stay far away because this is not.
Yeah.
It's more of the same. If you didn't like the original, so there it is.
Do we need to fire up your top 10 list here?
Yeah, let's do it on the other side of the break here, Joe.
Okay.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it. Take a quick break and do some fan mail.
From the people who brought you Halloween, more of the night he came home. Halloween 2.
There was nothing within him, neither conscience nor reason, that wasn't even remotely human.
Don't miss the all-new Halloween 2. More of the night he came home. Halloween 2, rated R. The horror continues. Now playing at a theater near you.
Hey, I'm Tommy Ricola, director of Dead Snow and Dead Snow 2, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back. Joe,
Yeah, what's up, G?
top 10 list time.
Got it.
What do I got on my list so far for 2019?
You have nothing on the best list and Glass on worst.
So,
No, wait, nothing on best still?
no.
Yeah, I was actually going
mean,
back to the
we've-
shows that we did.
We've done
case
a
we
lot
forgot about this.
We've done a lot of 2018 so far, and then Glass. So like, yeah.
Oh, and Eric, I haven't listened to last week's episode, so you would have put Suspiria in your top 10. I'm to
Oh,
understand.
top 3. Probably three.
Wow.
I probably
I
would
still
have.
haven't gotten a chance to watch.
I probably
I'm
would have.
definitely watching this week.
I think that I would have been forced to bump Terrifier down to 4.
Wow.
Was that good?
I'm mind blown.
We
Um,
were putting together your list of 2018 movies that you saw this year, right? You had Bird Box on
Yeah,
there.
I
Did you
think-
like Bird Box?
Yes, I know. I liked it all. Here's what I think we should do. Let's show a plan here on this show. When we do the year ender next year, we don't have to do anything like spreadsheet or whatever. But I think we should just each give to start our like 2018 pick that we missed on 2018 year, because I think we're each gonna have we'll have at least 4 to 5 things to pick from. We can each just give a movie and then we can just move on. I think it'll
Oh, yeah.
be it's just something we can do for that show.
All right. So should I not keep track of that for you?
Yeah, I would say Suspiria at this point.
You're just like keeping track of Eric's life at this
I
point.
love it. Dude, I
Oh,
drive.
last week he was like full on asking me to start like taking notes on like his dry cleaning and stuff.
I derive so much pleasure from doing my top 10 list this week. This way, it's incredible.
I want a list of shows that Eric has called the best television shows of all time.
Number
Let's
one,
start keeping that now.
I give it to you right now. Breaking Bad, best show ever made. Breaking
You
Bad.
already
Done.
in the pre-show mentioned *Halt and Catch Fire*, which
Number
you know,
two, The Office. Okay. From there, I'd
okay.
have
You're
there.
talking the American one, obviously, not the British one.
Please. From there, I'd have to workshop a little bit.
Please.
The British one. Get the fuck out of here. The British one.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Keep going.
The British one. He says, Joe, there's nothing on my top 10 list, so let's do it. Let's put it
No,
number.
you've
let's-
got Glass on worst.
But-
Would you have put Velvet Buzzsaw on your worst? I know you did not care
No, I didn't like it, but I wouldn't put it on my worst.
for it. Okay.
Let's just do it, Joe.
All right. So what are we
let's
doing with
put
Happy
this.
Death Day 2?
We might as well just put it at number 1, right? There's nothing else on there.
All right.
Then we'll work down from there.
It's a fallow year thus far.
I disagree. Hard disagree, John.
One good movie.
I'm gonna start
Alright.
I'm gonna start workshopping my best shows of all time list.
I can't wait.
You know what's not on there? Sopranos. I fucking hate The Sopranos.
Oh my
That show
God, Eric.
sucks.
Yeah?
Oh Jesus.
I
And
watched.
you love The Big Bang Theory?
I
We gotta
watched.
cancel the show.
I started
We're
watching The
done.
Sopranos. I got like 4 or 5 seasons in, and I was like, "This is like a soap opera about the most unattractive people I've ever seen in my
Oh,
entire
man.
life." It's like,
It does
I'm-
take
it's like-
a turn. Like in
it's
the
like,
middle, it does drag. At
How
that
many
point.
times do I have to see Tony Soprano have disgusting sex with somebody? Like, I cannot do this again. It's disgusting. He's sweaty.
Man, I haven't seen it in a long time. I know it's like the 20th anniversary or something.
He's
so a lot of
sweaty
people
and
are
he's always like just mowing down and like cold cuts. Like I just can't. I can't watch that show.
You're not supposed to like him. Like that's
Yeah, but
It's-
how many
it's not
times?
supposed to be like a sexy show. Like you're not supposed to get horny from it.
I disagree. I think that should be the point of all TV.
I don't think.
Otherwise, what are we doing here?
Oh god. Eric's watching The Sopranos again. Here comes the boners.
No, that's my point. There's none to be had. Gross.
Oh god, Eric's downstairs watching The Sopranos. He's
You
gonna
don't get
come to bed all ornery.
you don't get a little tingle in the pants every time you hear somebody say gabagoo.
Gabagool. All right, guys. We got some Bloody Good Horror housekeeping to do here. info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. We got a dispatch from Andy from bloodygoodhorror.com.
I might have gone mute.
Oh man, that Tony, he fucks.
Yeah, too much. That's my point. Stop it. Just stop. I don't want to see it. Cut away. You can't just cut away. You got to show me him in a sweaty wife beater every time.
Drop 20 pounds, Tony, then I'll be into it.
Oh, God.
Rest
It's
in
not
peace.
even about the weight. He's just a gross dude.
Jeez.
He's unattractive. I
Well,
want to
he's-
see.
he's-
Listen, I walk around every day looking at normal people. When I watch TV, I want to see hot people. I don't think
Have you-
that is insane.
So you've seen they're making a movie that's called like The Kings of New Jersey or something. It's like
Yeah.
a prequel
And you
about
know
how
what?
he becomes Tony Soprano.
You know what? It's 2019. They're going to cast hot ass people in that movie.
No, you know who they cast as the Tony Soprano character?
His
James
son.
Gandolfini's actual son.
Well, let me see a picture of this guy.
He's on The Deuce. Did you watch The Deuce?
How hot is he?
Did you watch The Deuce?
What?
I don't know. He's like 20, Eric. Like I'm not commenting on
So-
his attractiveness.
Yeah.
What you're telling me is your number one show of all time, Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston is a real sex symbol.
That's true. No, you're actually true. But I would rather watch him do it than Tony Soprano.
Oh my God.
Should I be
All
keeping
right,
this?
this is another list that we're gonna start keeping.
Sexiest
one up.
shows of all time. Horniest shows of all time.
This is why you like Orange is the New Black so much.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I just
Oh, Christ.
whatever.
Women in
Can we move on?
prison,
Like we
it's-
actually have a bunch of shit to talk about. Can we move on, please?
All right, let's
Thank
go.
you.
Let's go.
Mute your damn mic.
I have more questions, honestly.
Andy is the managing editor at BloodyGoodHorror.com, and he sent us a dispatch from the site. He wants you to know that we currently have a review that Andrew did of Happy Death Day to You. Jason has a review up of Darren Lynn Bousman's latest Saint Agatha. You remember Darren Lynn Bousman, John?
Yes.
Remember when he got really mad when Repo the Genetic Opera came out and people were like, hey, this is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a rough time for him.
And we're going to have an interview soon with Sabrina Kern, who stars in St. Agatha, so keep an eye out for that. Let's see. Adam's next. So Adam is the BGH lawyer, John, as you may know.
Mhm. Yes,
He is
I'm familiar.
in honor of the release of Horror Noir. This was the documentary that Shudder did about the contributions of Black creators in horror. And his next An Extremist is going to be on Get Out.
Ooh.
That's his article where he looks at horror movies from a legal perspective, and that'll be up Friday. And last thing, we put out a call last week. We are still looking for writer submissions. If you want to write for bloodygoodhorror.com, you want to review theatrical horror movies, please email Andy at bloodygoodhorror.com. We want a short bio and 2 review samples, please, if you're interested in writing for the show. That's Andy at bloodygoodhorror.com. We've had a bunch of people submit already, and just want to say thank you. And but we're keeping it open, John. We want to hear from people, so hit us up.
Join us.
Yes. Info at bloodygoodhorror.com. One email tonight. It's from Franco. Hello, BGH
James.
crew. This is my first time writing in as a longtime listener of the show. I started listening around episode 380 and haven't missed an episode or movie yet. That blows my mind. Somebody said that last week, too, that they watched every movie. Having listened to the show so long, you all have persuaded me to sign up for Shudder, and last year I've become a patron. As a student strapped for cash, the investment has been worth it, and I've listened to most of the back catalog. Keep up the great work. Thank you for your support, sir.
Oh.
I have a couple movie suggestions for the show. The Cleanse, 2016 art house horror movie. Piercing, Amazon Prime, 2019. We did some interview review stuff for that. And May the Devil Take You, an Indonesian Netflix original directed by the same guy who did The Raid and the night comes for us. May the Devil Take You is described as an Indonesian Evil Dead with some scary visuals.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was horror. I think John and Andy talked about doing it for Sophisticult, and I'm pretty sure they haven't though. So it looks crazy. I have seen the trailer on that one.
This is a good question, actually. Finally says, as someone who's been a long-time horror fan but hasn't seen some of the deep-cut cult classics such as Phantasm, would the BGH crew recommend watching the Joe Bob version first or hunt down an original copy and revisit the Joe Bob version later? Hope you read this on the air. I just did. Your loyal listener, Franco. Joe, what do you think? Like this for something like Phantasm, first time, would you go Joe Bob?
I mean, I think the only drawback would potentially be like in the beginning where he kind of gives the breakdown of everything. It kind of spoils it a bit.
I'm torn.
Other than that, I mean, I think it's a fun way to watch it. Like, he doesn't really spoil it as you're going. I think it's just really that breakdown.
Yeah, I'm torn. I think it depends on the movie. So, like, if you go back to that original 24-hour marathon he did, which, remember how cool that was, Joe? That was awesome.
Oh, I do.
You know, he did, like, Hellraiser. Hellraiser is a movie that's so damn good. If you haven't seen it, watch that on its own the first time. And while I think Phantasm is a really good movie that's deserved of its cult classic status, it's also real wacky, real hard to follow, and kind of slow at points. That might actually make it like the perfect Joe Bob movie. So like something like what else does he do? Like Pieces. He does Pieces in that original marathon. Like that's a Joe Bob movie if I've ever seen one. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I hadn't seen Phantasm 3, 4, or 5, and I watched it through his, and like, 'cause who cares if that gets spoiled? I mean, you kind of know what you're getting into. It's a valid point.
Yeah. Somebody was asking him on Twitter, like, would you do like a world premiere for like a Shudder exclusive? And he was like, I would totally be down for that. I think he's just spitballing, but I would actually love to see. So towards I believe the end of March, his weekly show is going to start. I would love to see like he's doing new double features every week, like do new stuff. I would love to see him putting that treatment to like this new Shudder original stuff that's hitting. You know?
Yeah.
It would make me probably watch those movies that right now I'm not.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I never would have watched the whole Phantasm series if it wasn't for him doing the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of the direct-to-video stuff that you see get out there, especially now in the streaming world and whatnot, it'll be good fit for that, as long as they can get a hold of it.
That's it for email info@bloodygoodhorror.com. John, what do we got on Twitter?
We got a lot of stuff here. So we'll start with BGH Classics. These are classic quotes from listeners going through the back catalog. Hashtag BGH Classics. This first one comes to us from Chase at ChaseTX. Eric says, it's weird how much Joshua Alba looks like Jessica Alba looking at Google Images.
Oh, let's look.
Mark says, don't stand up, Eric.
Oh, man, that is weird. Whoa.
So
I don't like
episode
that.
413, Autopsy of Jane Doe.
All I'm saying is cast this guy in the Sopranos remake.
Monica has one from episode 337. Should we start the countdown as to when Mark will quit the show? How long after Mark gets married does he quit the show? I will burn his house down. The other people are going to be collateral damage. That's an Eric quote.
This is hilarious because I'm like, wow, I really have come a long way.
Yeah.
But I would like to point out for the record that at the time that I said that, Mark lived by himself in an apartment building, and so when I said that, I did not mean his family would be collateral damage. I meant the yokels in his apartment would be.
Yeah, there you go. Monica has another one here. It says it's a quote by me. I read them, and there's lots of butt stuff, and that's apparently a quote on historical books about Massachusetts. No freaking idea what she's talking about. Episode 327, Wormwood.
And who said that?
That was a Monica. Well, I said it.
Yeah. Well, that's
about
right.
historical books about Massachusetts. I don't even know what books those are.
Just a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah out there.
Wormwood. Wormwood was that Australian thing?
Yeah.
Where we said we didn't like it, and the actress was talking about us on Twitter.
Yeah. John said there's one road that goes through Australia, and the actress actually listened to the episode.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, last one here from Skizbot, episode 125. Eric says, I imagine watching Jonah Hex is the equivalent of being Human Centipede. that was actually from the Human Centipede episode. So
that movie sucked so bad.
It was not good.
Jonah Hex or Human Centipede?
Just Jonah Hex was fucking awful.
Oh yeah, all right. I could defend Human Centipede 1, but I don't know.
Oh yeah. I would
okay.
I would watch that again before I'd watch Jonah Hex again.
I mean, I never saw Jonah Hex the first time. Isn't it Josh Brolin?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it
real.
looked-
It's real bad.
It looked awful. Okay, so we got a bunch of Ask BGH here. First one is from franchise at Matt Foley's van, and he actually just tags us with a quote tweet from another tweeter, Lauren Duca. Said, "Did you know a group of 2 or more white men is called a podcast?"
Yeah, I retweeted this week because it's really funny.
Yeah.
She's Lauren Duca is really funny. Actually, I follow her.
Yeah, she has like the blue check mark, so
Yeah.
she's probably somebody.
Did you know that they're not giving those out anymore? Twitter, they've cut it off.
Well, I know it was like a thing they were doing to combat bullying or something. I don't know. Yeah, I did see a headline about that. I don't know. Alexander Folks at QOcommon I don't know. Alexander says was just starting to see Happy Death Day and the fire alarm goes off and I missed the movie. What's the most disappointed you have been at a movie? Love the show.
When I saw,
actually,
go ahead.
well, I was gonna say I have a fairly ridiculous story about a fire alarm going off during a movie. The movie was A Simple Man, I think it's called. It's a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah.
So literally, let's say it's a 90-minute movie. We are like 75 minutes into this movie, and the fire alarm goes off. And as we're filing out, they like handed us basically like a ticket, like, come back and see a free movie sometime. I've still never seen the end of that movie.
Yeah.
So that's probably
Everybody dies.
Yeah, right. Total chaos.
I went to see Jeepers Creepers 2 in the theater when it came out, and I really liked the original, and so I was pretty excited for it. And I sit down to watch it, and we get a few minutes in, and I'm just like, the projector is out of focus. Like, not so much that it's crazy, but enough that it is driving me batshit. Like, it's not in focus. And I can't remember what happened. I can't remember if we were just sitting there waiting for them to fix it. Because you ever have a movie start and the lights don't go down yet, and that makes me livid because I'm just like, bro.
I get upset when the door doesn't get closed. If it's a door at the back,
and
that
I
drives me
feel
nuts.
like I remember people leaving to go tell them what happened, and it never got fixed. I watched that entire movie out of focus. It kind of sucked anyway, but I was just really pissed off when I left the theater.
Interesting. This isn't a movie, but this is not even a joke. 5 times I have tried to sit through the Indiana Jones stunt show spectacular at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Every time a lightning storm comes and it gets canceled halfway through. Not even kidding. I've counted 5 times. I've never seen the end of it.
Well, there you go.
I was at the second of the X-Men reboots with James McAvoy in that. I think that was the one where Magneto lifted a submarine out of the ocean at the end.
Whoa.
And,
spoiler alert.
Oh, I know.
I haven't seen it.
I'm going there. They a tornado passed through and knocked all the power out for like 5 minutes, and then we had to wait for the digital projectors to reboot, and then we finished the movie.
Did you guys get the trailer for that new X-Men movie, The Dark Phoenix? That looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I loved X-Men First Class. I'm not sure that I saw the next one, but I just I like all the recasting of I like this new version of it.
I fell off the X-Men movies about 45 minutes through the first one.
Wasn't First Class good? Didn't you like First Class though, John?
No.
I like the newer ones a lot better.
You didn't like that, Joe? The one of the World War II, Joe?
No, that's my joke. Like, I legit, after the very, very first X-Men movie, I'm like, this is terrible. I'll never watch it.
So you're talking about a different series from 20 years ago.
Yeah,
okay.
But it's still X-Men, right?
Gotcha. It's okay. John, did you see First Class?
I saw First Class, and I was fine with it. I agree with Joe insofar as, like, X-Men, it just doesn't translate, like, the way they've been trying to bring it to the screen. Look, like, whatever. We don't need to go down, like, a whole Marvel thing, but...
Again, hard disagree. I haven't seen the sequels to First Class, though, and I feel like they've had some more issues.
There's a lot of sexy people in those movies, Eric. Obviously, you're going to love
it.
Dude.
What's his face? What's his face in Prometheus? What's his name?
Oh yeah,
Fassbender.
David. Yeah, Fassbender.
So sexy.
There's a movie called Shame, Eric. You should check out Shame.
I've seen it.
Oh, there you go. Oh, loves the sexy.
Yeah.
All right.
So sexy.
Just going after it. Craig at 4Color Craig. What day of your life would you most like to live over and over again?
Oh, I saw this and I'm just like, every time I come up with an answer, it just takes me down this weird existential hole, and I'm not sure I can.
Yeah,
actually
well,
answer
listen,
this.
I'm gonna feel really terrible about saying this out loud, but like, it's got to be a day before I had kids, and from there, I've had a lot of good days, a lot of vacations where it's like, man, that was just like
Yeah,
the
like I
best
kept
fucking
thinking about that actually, like
day.
just to go back to a day in my like early 20s when I felt good and had nothing to do.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
what I want to. That's
The
what I want to relive.
Yeah.
The first time Leslie and I went to Disney World together, it was February after, this sounds terrible, but it was February after 9/11. So nobody was traveling and the parks were empty. Like legit, like the characters were just like hanging out outside of rides, like taking pictures with people because like there was no lines or anything. It was probably our best vacation I've ever been on, and
Like-
I would relive that day.
John, can you imagine just getting up and having nothing to do?
Yeah, I can imagine it, and then I don't like to think about it because I get sad.
Sad.
and,
Yeah, sad.
it's hard. We got a good one here. Well, sort of. It's an interesting one. That would be a no-no, or be a no. Excuse me. At Dungeons R Us, and there's underscores before the R and the us. He or she says, since Horror Hound is right around the corner, have you guys ever thought of having a booth?
We thought about it.
We had
At any horror convention, meeting fans, passing out BGH swag, and overall being awesome.
Wait, is this a new question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a
Okay,
yeah,
so
this
the
is a real question.
the first like 3 or 4 Horror Hounds that we did, we had a booth.
yeah,
um,
yeah.
I don't know if you know this, John, but I used to write for Horror Hound magazine.
I do remember.
We
I
definitely
remember
we
those
definitely
days.
had our own booth, and then it sort of morphed into a while like we would sort of share space with Night of the Living podcast. And one of the shows, I don't know if it was the first one we all went to or what, but this kind of tells you how long ago it was. We burned like a BGH best of with like the 20 our considered 20 best episodes at the time, which I
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
have. I still literally have the folder that we used to like source all the episodes together.
Yeah, no, we
um,
handed them out.
yeah, we
Didn't we
handed 'em-
resell them. I can't even remember.
We
No,
handed-
we handed them out.
No, we just handed
Yeah.
them out to like random, like a lot of people who just didn't know who we were. Just like, here you go, give it a listen. And we had, I swear we had people write in after that. Like a couple of people were like, oh yeah, I got your CD and now I listen to the show.
We've got some
Um,
good holdover swag from that too. I don't have any on hand, but like our postcards we made where we made up our own iTunes quotes for the postcard. Like, it's so funny, my dick fell off.
I mean, and here's the thing too, we didn't, here's a secret, we didn't pay for those tables. So like, that's the only way where I feel like it makes sense. Because, those are expensive because they're normally
Yeah.
like vendor tables.
Do you guys see this little
Yeah,
swag?
we had-
deal?
I
we
still
had-
got mine too.
You mean our convention exclusive swag, John?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and hey, this is a good time to shout out. We are doing a meetup this September in Chicago. Mark your calendar. It's not a horror hound, but it would be a cool time to come and hang out. If you've never seen Chicago, it's windy. Otherwise, pretty nice.
Yeah, September 21st to be exact. We are trying to nail down locations, but I think we are getting close. We've got some options.
We'll get there. Cool. Skizbot, he asks, inquiring minds want to know, morning shower or before bed shower or both or neither? It's all in caps. That's why. I
If
went
you're
that
a dude, it should be morning. Like no
Yeah,
dude can
absolutely.
shower and then sleep and be fresh in the morning. Like my wife can do that,
Yeah.
but she's like a freak of nature. There's
Yeah.
morning.
I
dude.
am a very mobile sleeper. It needs to happen in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're rolling around. You're all sweaty and gross. Like you got it. Like
Yep.
yes, morning.
Yeah, I mean, I get a good little run in the morning, and
Now,
then you gotta shower from
Listen,
there.
sometimes if I did a lot that day, I might take an extra shower at night.
Oh yeah,
Well-
I do. I've done the both.
Sean,
not
that's a question. After a run, what is the longest you have gone without showering?
Well, on the weekend, like if I'm like hanging out with my kids and we're like going to the park or something, like I'll just go most of the day.
Really? You'll go for a
yeah.
run and then not shower and go out and do activities?
If I'm like doing something that's also going to make me sweaty and gross, yes, then
Ugh.
like
When
can't, I
when
got-
I lived in Florida, I would run, do these like runs in the like mid-morning Florida sun, just like 90 degrees, just sweltering, and like your core temperature gets like crazy high, and then I would run back and immediately just take my shirt and my shoes off and jump right into the pool, and it was like getting electroshocked, but it was the literally the
Yeah.
most refreshed you will ever feel in your entire life.
Yeah, there's no way I could do any. Like I'll admit, I smell like pure goddamn death after I run. Like, I know it's because I'm not eating enough or something, but like it smells like ammonia sometimes. Like I just awful. Like
Now that I'm
my
a
wife
parent,
like can't even be in the same room with me.
if we have a busy day going on, like now that I'm a parent, I definitely have weekend days where I just don't get to a shower.
Oh yeah, on the weekends if
Yeah.
we're not doing anything, I will gladly not.
Yeah, it's pretty rare when I make it a whole day anymore, but it's happened.
Yeah, I'm the same way on Saturdays. Well, I may not get there, especially because Saturdays are chore days, and I'm going to be grubby anyways. So,
There you go. All right, asked and answered, Skizbot. Thank you. Roger says Blumhouse has put out novelizations of Halloween and now Happy Death Day to You.
That's awesome.
Did you all read novelizations of movies back in the day? Living in Amish country, I read Ghostbusters 2 long before I saw it.
That's awesome. I was never a reader as a kid. I read 0 books as a kid.
I definitely read a couple of the Amityvilles. I read Halloween 3.
Do you still have
Wow.
that? Do you still have
Yeah, I
that? That's
think so.
amazing.
Yeah.
There's like a collector's market for those things, Joe.
Yeah, my brother would buy a lot of them, and then like I just picked them up as I got older and started reading them.
So I definitely read. I remember distinctly having a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think it was Secret of the Ooze novelization.
Dude, that's
and
dope.
then for some reason I remember having an Addams Family novelization,
I did always
which is just like the most ridiculous thing on the
I did
planet,
always find
probably.
the idea. I did always find the idea fascinating that like sometimes they would add layers to the story that weren't in the movie. Like that stuff I always found kind of interesting.
I feel like that's rarer now. Like
Now,
maybe back in the day you could get away with
I think
that
now
shit,
they're
but-
probably tighter control over IPs.
Yeah.
how about a Halloween book that's not even a novelization?
Oh, there you go.
You know what? That's not. It's not.
What?
You know, I did read books, John. I used to
What?
read Choose Your Own Adventure.
Oh, there you go. All right.
What is that though? Is
Yeah,
that
Casey, what's the title on that?
It's Halloween: The Madhouse by Kelly O'Rourke.
but is that
Pagans.
about like the movie or is
Is it about Michael Myers?
I don't think so. Many years ago in the town of Haddonfield, Illinois, a boy named Michael Myers murdered his sister with a knife. Later, he returned to town on Halloween night to kill again. The only ones who know how to stop him were his doctor and a teenage girl. Now it is time for Michael Myers to return to Haddonfield once again, and this time there's no one who can stop him. Christine Ray's summer vacation has been nothing but lame dates and boring camping trips. Then she sees the ad, volunteer film crew needed for documentary on haunted sites. Spend the night at Smith Grove Mental Hospital if you dare.
How did that not get
It's
made
like
into
sexy
a movie?
fan
though?
fiction.
Yeah, but it goes on. She definitely dares. The place is the ultimate scary site. Michael Myers himself was locked up there for 15 years before he escaped. Totally cool. But what she and her new filmmaking friends don't know is that Michael Myers still has a room at Smith Grove and visiting hours are over.
Oh, that doesn't make sense. Shouldn't it be like visiting hours have just begun?
yeah?
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
And it doesn't take place on Halloween.
No.
No.
No, it's actually
That-
Friday the 13th, Joe. Oddly enough.
A lot of questions.
But this is also book 3 of a series, so there's other Michael Myers books out there.
That's all the SBGHs, Eric.
Oh, hey, we're done.
Love it. Happy Death Day to You. #1 movie of 2019. What are we doing next week? Did we decide yet?
Lords of Chaos. I'm so very excited.
Is this subtitled or is
I
this
just was
number?
checking and I don't see it on Box Office Mojo. Like, are you sure it's getting a release?
It's going to
gonna be-
video.
Yeah, it's going to be on Amazon, I know, at least. Streaming.
Oh, all right. That's
Even better.
even better.
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
long?
it had a very limited run. I think 2 weeks ago, like
Okay.
literally like 3 or 4 theaters.
How
but
long-
yeah, it's being released on VOD.
I have an
this Friday.
important question, Joe. How long is it?
I have no idea, but not long enough for me. I'll tell you that right
Okay,
now.
Interesting. So yeah,
I'm
next.
so worried for Joe. 'cause,
Joe, what
like,
is-
you
just real
are
quick-
you are more
Oh.
hyped for this movie than anyone.
Real-
Oh, there's no way it's going to live up to expectations.
Joe, real quick, what is this for people who don't know?
So it's based on the a true story of this band Mayhem, and a couple church burnings that took place around them in Norway in the I think it's late 80s, and a couple murders as well.
Yeah, I think you didn't. I think you clued me into like a documentary about this or something, Joe, and it's a pretty fascinating story.
Yeah, so it's based on a book that tells, like, pretty much focuses on this story, but also just kind of gives a history of some of these metal genres. And then there's this documentary called Until the Light Takes Us, which is, it gets a little weird. Like there's a lot of just weird background noise and slow motion, but it kind of goes over the story too, and it's pretty interesting. Looking now, it is an hour and 58 minutes.
So I need to block out 2 nights to watch it then. Yeah. Okay. I'll do that. All right, guys. That's going to do it. Don't forget we're on Spotify. Please, if you listen on iTunes, leave us a review. If you want to write for the site, hit up Andy at bloodygoodhorror.com. And don't forget, you can get a live streaming version of this show every week. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. And get access to our kicking Slack community, John, where all of the BGH fans congregate every day and talk about things.
It does kick.
It's on and popping, as they say. Joe, you missed it. We were singing Marky Mark before the show, and I couldn't remember the lyrics. So I'm like, I wish Joe was here.
Which song?
Good
Vibrations.
Good Vibrations.
Do you remember his Wild Side song? Or
No.
Yeah, it sounded like Velvet Underground.
Yeah.
Maybe
it was.
I'd have to hear it.
Yeah, I'll send it.
All right, folks.
That's actually like part of the original song. So
That's going to do it. Next week, Lords of Chaos. Hope you enjoyed the show.
See you.
Goodbye, everybody.
bye-bye.